we can go ahead and get started and just do kind of a overview of what and why we're talking about landfill fee increases and what we might include.
Okay, the reason
budget.
we're looking at fee increases is we are at a point where we need to start looking towards the future. As far as, our landfill expansions, yeah, we do have a permit that's probably good for 264 years, but our landfill expansions are all going to change from now on. There's a possibility that the landfill is contaminating groundwater to some extent. And in order to keep that from happening in the future, the state will probably want us to have a lined landfill. We do not have one now. It has not been lined since it was constructed in 1962. So that's where we're headed. And so,
well, Michael,
for the landfill expansion, the next expansion or the next cell is about $850,000. And that's at today's dollars, so it'll probably go up from there.
Michael, if I may too, because the paper is on here, I just want to clarify a couple of things. So the expansion, the next cell, we have the 3-acre cell ready for use. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Michael.
Hey, it's Kayla.
Oh, Kayla's here. All right. Kayla, we just were starting with a high-level overview of reminding everybody why we are discussing the potential fee increases. So Michael was saying that we have to think about the future, and in our expansion, we are permitted for 200 plus years. And I was chiming in to clarify, especially because the paper is on here, we have testing wells, and we have not yet gotten verification of high levels or contamination that hits a threshold of great concern, but CDPHE has communicated to us that should we do that, we would have to line our future cells, which I was trying to explain that currently we have the 3-acre cell that is ready to start use at the beginning of the quarter of 2021, which is not lined as well. And then each cell expansion, Michael, does each cell expansion, would that always be at 4 acres at a time?
Yeah, it'd be 3 to 4 acres. It just depends on where the next place we go to. And once we get basically the bottom part of the landfill line, future expansions on top of it wouldn't have to be lined because we're all still on top of the line landfill, because it's going to go up as well as it is out, and it's going to go out first. So
okay, so I misspoke. Not all the expanded areas of the landfill will need to be lined, and we don't know that they need to be actually lined right now, but CDPHE has communicated to us that there is a likelihood. And the cost of that would be $850,000 for the 4-acre next cell expansion.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, and we will continue to work with CDPHE to be sure that we, are following the regulations in terms of the requirements to line. But in anticipation of, we've talked for a few years also just about appropriate levels of fees really across the county in all departments, but at the landfill too. And in anticipation of, we do actually still have the mine closure fund that we need to continue to contribute to. We're supposed to have a certain percentage of cost in there, and we do not yet have our full. We continue to add to that over the years, although right now our projected closure is a couple hundred years out. So that's easy to kind of chip away at a little bit at a time, right? Although, Michael, I'm sure you chime in, we don't necessarily aren't talking about full closure. You kind of close the cells up or encapsulate them and treat them appropriately as we move on to utilization of new expanded areas of the landfill, correct?
Exactly. So it's not going to be all at one time. It's continuous from here on out.
Yep.
So as we close things, you know, and move on to new areas, the state's also going to make us do closure stuff too. So it'll be ongoing.
Yep. So
one of the biggest things to note is that once we start the new cell, start putting trash in the new cell that we have right now, we only have 3 years of life left until we get approvals on the new cell. And that's kind of, you know, what we're also looking at is we have to have a new cell in line, ready to go within that 3-year period.
yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of, I mean, is it fair to say that it's going to be this constant 3 or 4 year cycle of moving dirt and preparing every next cell as we did with the 3-acre cell that we currently have ready?
The approvals on the 3-acre cell that we currently have, or the 3-year cell that we currently have, came depending on what the groundwater samples would be. Every 5 years, we'd have to get a groundwater clearance, you know, that we're not contaminating anything. There's no contaminants in the groundwater. That's also what's leading to this next cell being lined. And you got to remember also, even this 3-year cell right now will also be built on top of in the future. So anything that's unlined right now in the landfill could still have more trash put on it in the future, even with our whole plan, our EDOP, which is the engineering, design, and operations plan. For the next 264 years, it's a living document. It's going to change. It could change every year from now on out.
Okay.
I hope not either, because I've been working on it since 2014.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's where we're at, and that's where you know, a lot of landfills in Colorado are right now. It's just a tipping point. Ones in Denver have had to do this, you know, several years ago because of the volume of trash that they put in landfills in Denver compared to what we do up here. And, you know, the thing to look at is if we don't have a landfill in our own county, that means hauling it to some other county. And fees will be exorbitant for that, just not only fees of putting it in somebody else's landfill, but also hauling it there.
Right. No, I see the value in investing, and I don't know that anybody is arguing that, but we should certainly have that conversation if anybody does have that concern. So in order to start increasing fees and probably earmarking, Michael, you and I have talked about earmarking the fees collected above and beyond what our current baseline, if you will, is, earmarking that for lining and expansion work in the same way, but not necessarily in a different fund, that we have the mine closure money earmarked. What I think we're looking at here is $2, $3, $4, $5 increases. Oops, I'm trying to move this and I'm not the one sharing. Michael is sharing his screen. And why don't you explain to us what we're looking at?
Okay. So I've basically got 4 different spreadsheets here, and you can see at the bottom, it says price increase with COLA, and that's the one we're looking at. So this is just going up, raising the fee $1 per cubic yard for both the trash going in there, or per cubic yard, of both compacted and non-compacted trash. So, and I did it, basically at different prices. So starting at $16 for, we're at $15 currently, but adding the dollar is $16, then adding $2, adding $3, and so forth. Trying to come up with the $851,000 that are, that we were quoted. And looking at this over 3 years, the 3-year time frame. I can't breathe, I can't talk either, so there. You'll see up here at the end, it says landfill operating budget with just a 3% COLA increase. That's, not planning on any equipment purchase or anything. That's just straight, going from what our budget is currently and adding 3% to it. That comes to $200 or $2 million basically. So we got to look at that. That's just our operating costs over 3 years. At $16 a cubic yard, it doesn't leave but 700 grand over, so it's close. And going down, you can see basically we would hit the market about $19 a cubic yard, but starting at $18. The third year it would be at
So,
$19.
oh, the third year. So each year increasing by 50 cents?
Yeah, that's what the COLA increase for starting with $1 or whatever the first year. So it would be starting at 18, it would be $2 the first year, $3 the first year, onto the 15 that we got now.
Right.
And then doing a COLA increase on every consecutive year. So just a COLA increase to get to $19. That basically puts us over the, at $2 million, almost $3 million, puts us over that amount of $851,000 that we need to save.
Okay. So it gets us up to collecting the revenue to operate and collecting the revenue to be able to cover the projected expenses this year for 3 years out, which as we can maybe also further calculate, perhaps, a certain percentage of increase in cost there.
Right.
If construction costs continue to increase annually by about 10% or more. Okay. And with that extra, we did a calculation when we were together the other week. The $5 above the 15, that added revenue was that approximately like 240,000? If we're talking about a $5 increase to a $20 non-compacted, just the revenue generated above and beyond.
Yeah, basically, I've got that on this chart here. So at $5 by the end of 3 years, if it went up $1 a year, we'd have $378,000. And see,
that's total.
Looking at it this way, if we just did a fee, this was basically per car though. This wasn't on cubic yardage. I looked at it at a car fee, just like we do at the gate right now. We have a $15 minimum charge. And I looked at doing just a car fee to be able to get to the $800,000. And the first time that we could even get to $800,000 would be starting with $12 a car, additional. If we were looking at just a fee to put in an expansion fund per car to go in there and dump trash.
Okay,
The other one that you were talking about was this one here. If we looked at on a cubic yard charge of $5 a cubic yard additional. Say on the third year, we'd be at, about $280,000.
annually.
Yeah. By the third year, we'd be at, and I think it's like $7 a cubic yard. We would have enough. Yeah, 7. So between $7 and $8, starting with $7 and $8.
And just to be clear, that is not the, wait, which one? No, this spreadsheet now is just the,
If we were looking at a landfill expansion fund and charging per cubic yard, we would need to charge this to get to that amount in 3 years.
but this is the increased amount. This is the increment that we would charge above what we're currently charging.
Yes.
And this is what the increment would generate in terms of revenue.
Right. Yeah.
And the first spreadsheet was in total.
Right. That basically the first spreadsheet was total with everything, and it was a cost added on to the existing fee. Right now, to raise the existing fee.
Right.
This is to create, the expansion fund, and it's leaving the current yard fee the same as it is, but making this fee as an additional fee.
Yep.
Per cubic yard.
Yeah. Okay.
So the other one that we were looking at was for a car fee, or everybody, so that everybody that goes through the gate just automatically pays, so much to the landfill expansion fund. So it'd be per car basically instead of per cubic yard. That's what I was looking at.
Do you recommend doing that? And would that, but I just want to, I'm sorry. Your fee per car would be on top, would replace the fee per cubic yard.
No, the fee per car would be just the fee that everybody pays to go through the gate.
Okay, because I don't think we talked through part of that the other day, or maybe we didn't talk about.
This is something that I basically came up with today, looking at this.
Okay.
It would be easy to track, what is going to the landfill fund, so everybody knows that this fee is going to the landfill fund or expansion fund, and they still have to pay the $15 cubic yard fee for like they're paying right now today.
Plus the additional what then on the beginning of this?
Charge just to go through the gate.
Which
So you pull up at the gate with your car, you're going to get charged $6 to be at the landfill, and then your cubic yard charge.
Right.
And that $6 will go into the fund, the landfill expansion fund, and it's basically trackable. You can, from the landfill to the fund, you can track it, make sure it gets there.
Yep.
Because it goes in as a separate line item. Whereas if you just charge an increased cubic yard charge, we're trying to take $2 off the cubic yard charge and put it in this fund.
And I think either one is trackable. It just depends on which one might work better. But any questions, Commissioner Marcella or Glenn?
I don't think I have anything right now.
I know it's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information. I think I just want to be clear on what the initial request is to increase and the timeline to increase.
So ultimately, that's what we want to determine today, what we're going to include in the budget as our landfill fees. And then formally adopt on the 15th. So I think that's what Michael wants to hear from the board on, and Robin, and the request or I guess are you guys both clear on the anticipation of lining the future cells and then that cost? And ultimately that this increase would aim to cover that cost. Right now, at least the way it's projected, that we barely, or we would just cover the cost of the lining of the next cell every 3 years. Michael, can you go back to the left and the beginning, the beginning of this spreadsheet, please?
Yeah, the COLA sheet.
So I think, Kayla, this is the one that we were talking about when we first discussed it. Because we talked about every 6 months doing a COLA increase, and I think you had said that you would like to see it yearly instead of every 6 months.
Yeah, I think it would make the most sense to do it on an annual basis instead of every 6 months, just because it's less of an administrative burden.
Right. So we looked at raising the fee, basically $1 to start with here,
Okay.
and then every year doing a 3% COLA increase, and basically rounding it to the next, 50 cents.
Okay. Okay.
So then after 3 years, like the first year, starting at 16.
So then this would be the anticipated revenue going into 2021 with the fee that was listed in the top left corner of this spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the fee starting at $16.31 for $16 for regular trash or non-compacted trash, and $31 for compacted trash.
But at the end of the first year, Michael, just scooch over a few columns. The total revenue would be $889, which would not be $889 above what you're collecting now for operation and maintenance of the landfill.
Right. No, it would cover the budget, the $600,000 budget. So it's only about $200,000 up there.
Okay.
Where Michael and I landed in our last conversation, if we wanted to, I think if we think about it, basically, if we wanted to cover the $860,000 cost that we can anticipate seeing in 3 years, we'd have to increase the fees by $5 starting January 2021, so that we could collect that revenue above what we currently are collecting over the next 3 years. I would recommend not increasing it any less than $3. And having this conversation every year to monitor, and we'll be continuing those conversations with CDPHE on what we are actually going to be required to do, the timelines within that we are going to be required to line. But I think I don't think we should I think we should increase it some. I don't think we should increase it any less than $3 for the start of 2021. At least that's where my opinion sits right now.
I think that the $5 increase, because it's at 15 right now, right, Sarah or Michael?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it
I
is.
think I think the $5 increase is justified because of the time it's been since we've gone through an increase previously. So I wouldn't be opposed to $5 because I think that that's very minimal compared to the increased cost of operations over the time period since we've increased the fees. Because it's been 2011 was the last time that they were increased. Is that what you said, Michael?
Yes, I believe so.
I think it'd be, Kayla, I like that point, and I think it's important, you know, as we're discussing this in our meetings, and then probably if we create some simple flyer, Robin, to hand out. I don't know if you had any thoughts on messaging and, you know, letting people know through December possibly, or maybe we make changes in the end of the first quarter of next year. I don't know if you have specific suggestions on that, but I think it'd be important to highlight some of those points that, you know, fees haven't been increased since 2011, and, you know, the $5 increase would equal what per year over that time had we increased it annually. And then of course, why we would be increasing to cover those costs, and as well as general operating and maintenance.
You know, another point, Summit County basically has a $20 per car charge right now. That's their minimum charge into the landfill. They do weigh the trash, so they pay by a tonnage fee also, but every vehicle pays $20 to begin with when they go to the landfill. And we're at $15 for that right now. And then we pay extra for the other cubic yardage. So it would be, instead of, like if you had a pickup truck with 2 yards in it, it would be $20 to pull up to the gate for the first yard, and then $20 for the second yard. So it'd be $40 total.
In Summit County?
Total.
Summit County gets weight.
Summit County does $20 minimum plus whatever weight's on there. So, and they got a weight charge, a per ton charge.
Oh, okay. Which we can't do that because we don't have the scale.
Yeah, we don't have a scale to weigh the vehicles.
Well, so Kayla, are you suggesting that we look at $5?
Yeah, I think that would be my recommendation. I mean, the cost to operate out there and the professional fees to go through the engineering process of being able to actually line the cell have not decreased. And it's been 10 years since the fees were increased out there. I mean, and I think it's just, you know, essentially the cost of being able to operate that facility, you know, and it's much more cost effective to increase those fees by $5 locally than to not have a landfill and have to outsource that to a neighboring community, to everyone here. So
Yep.
I think that the trade-off cost or trade-off benefit is worth it, you know, and we have to be able to cover the cost of that through the fees of that enterprise.
Yep. Mark, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think we'd be better off to raise it once and kind of be done with it for a little while. If you raise fees every year, it kind of gives a bad impression to people. That's all I have to say about that. So
does that mean that you would be, are we all maybe kind of in alignment to make that one big jump with $5 to cover the basics?
I think so. I do have another question. What about the recycle center, community field, and the trash there? Is that being addressed?
In what way? Go ahead, Michael, if you understood the question.
I think the question was, are we addressing it, increasing those costs also? Those did get increased last year, recycling fees did. We have not increased them at the landfill yet, though. Is that what you're talking about, Mark?
Well, I'm talking about more of the bags, because I throw my cardboard there, it doesn't cost me anything. But is there going to be a cost increase as far as bags go, that could go to that?
We didn't look at that, but yes, definitely that could happen.
Okay. So it hasn't been addressed at this point.
No, it hasn't. I was just planning on leaving them at $5 a bag.
The fees were changed in 2016 according to your website.
2000.
Because what'll happen is you raise the fees at the landfill, more people may start using the bags,
Right.
which is going to be the same situation. You're going to be filling the landfill,
Price on-
and you're not getting that extra $5 because they're not going to the landfill, they're using the bags.
Right.
We talked about that in theory a little bit too, Mark. And maybe, well, I don't know if Michael or Robin actually calculated out, projecting what kind of percentage increase in use of the bags we might see if people go to the landfill to dump directly less. But it could also result in an increase of the use of bags and then an increase in revenue there. I mean, because how many bags does it take to fill the cubic yard?
Yeah, depending on how full, it's 13 gallons per yellow bag. So it would probably be maybe 5 or 6 bags.
300 pounds per bag.
So go ahead, Mark.
I'm thinking those yellow bags full is almost a cubic yard by itself.
Yeah, it's pretty close. At 300 pounds is a cubic yard of not compacted trash, according to the state.
That keeps the boat $10 on the bags.
I do know that our bag sales has increased dramatically this summer. And mainly from one vendor.
You guys have marked up anyways.
And I know people aren't afraid to pay $6 a bag.
Okay. I think that makes sense, right? And I think maybe Mark is also trying to touch on, we might need an additional roll-off out there if the use of bags increases rather than people going to the landfill.
But we will also be able to haul more once we get a new truck too. So, and not have
more often
down all the time.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Good point. So, I'm hearing that it might be overall more palatable or beneficial to kind of run the gamut and perhaps do landfill increases and maybe $1 increase on the bags as well, all at once. And maybe we just kind of communicate that, we'll review and monitor and assess every year if we might need to look at an increase. But the increases that may come in subsequent years would look, our intention is to have those increases smaller and more often, perhaps, rather than $5 or so at a time. I don't know.
I think that's a good idea because I think you also want to incorporate the bag cost as well. That was a great point brought up by Commissioner Glenn. I had not thought of that previous to this conversation. But I think that that's a justifiable course of action if we're talking about increasing fees at all. And I do think maybe we would want to leave that open, and maybe perhaps what we could do is we could pilot this in 2021 with the large increase going into 2021. And then at that point, couldn't we look at the projected revenue and then determine whether we need to make an increase in 2022 or 2023 or whatever that looks like, because maybe it's projecting better than we anticipated with the growth that we're experiencing, and we might not need to make an increase. I don't know. That's a good idea though. Maybe. Thoughts on that, Michael, Sarah, Commissioner Glenn?
I think that's probably a pretty good idea, you know, because obviously, you know, our the amount of people going in there in the yardage is going up all the time. Hopefully we don't get past our threshold with the state and make it really bad for us. You know, so fees basically are increasing all the time. Our income is increasing basically, not really fees. And, you know, this might be just a breaking point where it works out with just the one increase, you know, that it'll work pretty good.
Yeah. I think that sounds like a good idea. $5 increase on the, well, we're talking about 5 and then whatever you have on the commercial compacted, right? So there's three fee increases. We keep talking about the, I think the most prevalent one that we see, right? There would be the bags maybe at $1, the non-compacted at $5, and then what's the compacted increase if we do it at the same rate with the $5 increase?
35.
And
now it's 32?
No, it's 30 right now.
It's 30 right now, so
Oh,
if you get a $5 increase on both of them.
In county and out of county, so that out of county would go up then too.
Yeah, I think we can figure out, and like Mark brought up, you know, we also talked about, okay, well, how much, you know, this could be good to push people. Perhaps more people might use commercial business to pick up their trash, and we might see less trash around. And so without kind of being able to quantify all of those other, what other results and activity we might see because of the increase. I think that's just something, to your point, Kayla, although it looks like she fell off of here maybe, to just continue to communicate that those will be monitoring all of those elements to determine what the fee increases might look like. And we can probably make that decision earlier than December next year. Robin, where's your smile? I can't see. I can't even see your eyes well enough to figure out if you're. So do you guys need any other, does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, and I can also, you know, update you all with how many bags we've sold this year.
Yeah.
And show you what that price increase would be over that time period also.
Okay. I don't get the sense that we need that to,
Okay.
I think the basic consensus of the board is to do the increases all at once, and then just kind of set that consistent communication of why and how we're going to kind of monitor and assess for future increases. So it seems like you could include in the budget the $5 for the non-compacted, $5 also for the compacted. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Okay, and then $1 for the bags, and we'll go from there. we'll continue to have our lovely conversations with CDPHE.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a lot better.
Yeah,
So just to reiterate, all this price change will take effect effective January
First,
1st of 2021.
okay. Are you asking or are you?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Okay. I mean, that's how we've, Michael and I have been framing our conversations, but if you have any other thought and you would prefer to have more time to communicate those changes to the public, if you see a benefit in doing that, I think the board would certainly be amenable to listening to your suggestions.
No, I don't. I do know that we have that it won't take much time to get all the information compiled and start relating to the public, advertising it in the Herald, putting it on Facebook, just generating the information going out to the public as to why we're making these changes. I just wanted to set in stone what the price changes dollar amount was going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you have our answer.
Yeah.
And then if something comes up between now and final adoption of the budget on the 15th, please let us know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If you need any help developing little flyers or something, let us know and we can or reach out to your other departments and colleagues. We can
We'll
probably use people to put together some little flyers or graphics or whatever. Cool. And maybe we can definitely talk to the Herald, maybe push out something in anticipation of that in a week or so. And definitely after the 15th. Maybe we could have something ready to put in the paper the week of the 15th.
sound good.
Awesome. Thanks for your work on this, you guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else you need from us or want to think through?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, that could change 5 minutes from now, but it's always happened that way.
All right. All right. Anything else from you, Mark?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
I think with that, I don't think there was anything else on the agenda to chat through. Not sure. Looks like Kayla got kicked off. But I think we will adjourn.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye.